Ogun State Head of Service, Dr. Nafio Aiguru, has reassured retired public servants in the state that government remained committed to the payment of their entitlements. Dr. Aiguru disclosed this while fielding questions from state lawmakers during the ongoing budget defense at the Assembly Complex, Okemoso, Abeokuta. Correspondent Kola Oliosho covered the exercise, and details are presented in this package.
Budget defense conducted by the Ogun State House of Assembly on the budget provisions of ministry, departments and agencies continued, with the office of the Head of Service and departments under it. Head of Service, Dr. Nafiu Aiguru, during the exercise explained to the lawmakers that the state government had promised that the amount being set aside to offset the entitlements will be increased as the state economy improves, considering the volume of the outstanding.
The retirees are being settled as per the date they exited the service. That's what we've done. And both the state and the local government retirees are being taken care of. The Excellency has promised is that as the economy improves, the 500 million quarterly release will be increased. It's not passing stone. We are expecting that the next quarter will be 800 million or 1 billion. But for this year, the 2 billion has been released for the 4 quarters for this year.
He pointed out that government was aware of the outstandings it inherited from the past administration, adding that efforts were being intensified to offset them. Defending the budget estimate of his office, the Head of Service stated that Bureau of Service Matters plan to spend over 247 million naira in the next fiscal year, out of which 94 million naira would go for personnel, 70 million naira for overhead, and 83 million naira for capital expenditure. The Bureau of State Pensions disclosed that it would continue to sustain the economic independence of 14,622 pensioners of the state by boosting access to necessary information on pension-related issues. Hence, it planned to expand the total budget estimate of 16.052 billion naira on pensions and gratuities of civil and public servants next year. Given the breakdown of the amount, it stated that a total of 14.052 billion naira would go for the payment of pensions, while 2 billion naira would take care of gratuities. Public Service Transformation Office, Bureau of Establishments and Training, as well as the Civil Service Commission, also had their budget defended. Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment, Mrs. Kike Lomolunge, disclosed that the ministry has generated 685.5 million naira between January and October to the coffers of government from road haulage, registration of business premises, and inspection fees, while proposing to generate the sum of 1.8 billion naira as internally generated revenue in the next fiscal year. Lunge noted that the ministry had earmarked 534.5 million naira as its recurrent expenditure next year, while capital expenditure would go up 504.9 million naira, saying that the total expenditure stood at 1.039 billion naira. State Market Development Board, State Agriculture Multipurpose Credit Agency, USAMCA, among other agencies, equally defended their budget estimates before the lawmakers.
Ogun State Property and Investment Corporation, OPIC, has proposed a sum of 3.889 billion naira as its total expenditure for the next fiscal year. The Managing Director, Special Advisor, OPIC, Mr. Abeokuta Fariarule, stated this while defending the corporation's 2022 budget estimated before the members of the State House of Assembly Committee on Finance and Appropriation, chaired by Honorable Olakunle Shobukola at the Assembly Complex, Okemoso, Abeokuta. Again, Kola Oliosho's report is presented in this package.
The Managing Director, SA OPIC, Mr. Abeokuta Fariarule, while defending the corporation's 2022 budget estimate before the lawmakers, noted that the amount would take care of the completion of the second phase of the housing at the King's Court Estate, Phase 2, Abeokuta and Wariwa, According to him, the opening up of internal access roads at Agbara and New Makun City to enhance sales of land and ease the movement of occupants within the estate, as well as commencement of the development of 2 new estates at Shion Axis and Ijebu-Ode-Ekpe Express Road, amongst others, have been considered in the budget. Giving a breakdown of the budget estimate, the MD stated that out of the total, the sum of 2.899 billion naira has been set aside for capital expenses, 482 million naira for personnel costs, with 507 million naira being earmarked for overhead, while over 6.4 billion naira was the proposed revenue for the period. In another development, Ogun State Ministry of Justice has said it was committed to ensuring that the people of the state have unhindered access to justice, having set machineries in motion towards enhancing equity and promoting fair play in the administration of justice in the state. The State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Mr. Oluwashina Ogungbade, SAN, stated this before members of the State House of Assembly Committee on Finance and Appropriation. He noted that more would be achieved through effectively and efficiently handling of all legal matters pertaining to the people, the government, and its agencies. The Commissioner added that the ministry planned to construct building for Committee on Rehabilitation and Correctional Administration of Criminal Justice, Monitoring Center, as well as zonal offices for the Citizens' Rights Department in Ota and other areas of the state to strengthen the available legal and judicial infrastructure to enhance public accessibility to justice. Ogungbade disclosed that the ministry proposed a budget estimate of 763 million naira as total expenditure for next year, out of which personnel cost would take 438.7 million naira, while 202 million naira would go for overhead, and the remaining 122.1 million naira would be expended on capital projects. The State Judiciary, Judicial Service Commission, Ogun State Customary Court of Appeal also defended their 2022 budget proposals before the state lawmakers.
Ogun State government has been commended for being proactive in tackling challenges facing education in the state. The accolade came from the courtesy visit of the Abeokuta Girls Grammar School Old Students Association to the Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Professor Abayomi Arigbabu, at its Okimoso office. The commissioner pointed out that the state government is doing a lot to revitalize the education sector, saying whatever problem people see in schools was a result of long years of neglect.
I will tell you that if parents in the school are well organized, if they are well organized, not all of them will be responsible. A few of them will come up and support the school, and you'll be surprised. We will continue to try our best. We have said this, that this administration has zero tolerance for that. Any parent that attacks our teachers, or any parent that stops the smooth running of school, will actually be taken off by the appropriate. We have said it open more than once. We have said it open, and even the government itself has said that. I'm not going to allow a situation whereby that type of thing will happen. We have assured our teachers that they should continue to do their work without any fear of failure. Because
Professor Arigbabu explained that parts of the steps taken to address cultism, hooliganism, and indecent behaviors in schools include introduction of school-based management committee, enforcement of regular attendance of 70% as prerequisite for the registration of learners for West African Secondary School Certificate Examination WAEC, employment of 2 security guards, and reintroduction of sporting activities in schools, amongst others. Also, Special Advisor to the Governor on Primary and Secondary Education, Mrs. Runke Shuyombo, remarked that recent happenings among students in the state shows in neglect or negligence from parents, promising that government will not rest on its oars until things are corrected and brought back to normal. President of the association, Yeye Otumba Adetola Hassan, in our own speech said the visit has to do with a trending video on some students in the school showing unruly behavior, adding that the group appreciates efforts of government towards returning sanity to schools. Also on the team, an old student of the school, Iyaludi Alaba Lawson, stated that Parents should be allowed to take responsibilities on their children and impact moral values in them. As issues of violence continue to grow in society, Ogun State will have zero tolerance to any form of violence, especially gender-based ones. This affirmation was made by the wife of the Ogun State Governor, Mrs. Bamidele Abeokuta, at the quarterly meeting of Violence Against Persons Management Committee, VAPME, held at the Obas Complex, Okimoso, Abeokuta.
The primary goal of Violence Against Persons Management Committee is to eliminate all forms of violence against persons and to provide maximum protection and effective remedies for victims, as well as punish offenders on related matters. This is why the committee, in collaboration with the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, Ogun State, had its quarterly meeting.
At the moment, the Ministry of Justice is very well poised to provide support to the response team for the committee.
We are very grateful to God for bringing us together to be able to discuss and map out the road to success and the road to capture that which borders on our women.
In her keynote address, the First Lady of the State, Mrs. Bamidele Abeokuta, who also doubles as the chairperson of Violence Against Persons Management Committee, enjoined every sector in the state to help in the fight against gender-based violence.
We should also be able to accommodate our respective contributions and address specific concerns to ensure that we capture individual interests in achieving our collective goal. For 2022, the Office of the First Lady is already making plans to intensify our advocacy efforts and work with key stakeholders, most of whom are in this committee, the private sector, and all concerned to help to fulfill our mandates.
To ensure that women fully enjoy their rights and achieve their full potential, Ogun State government is providing a response team as well as legal protection for timely response to victims. Adebola Oshomoji, Ogtv News.
Gender Equality Bill on Wednesday suffered a setback in the Senate as the sponsor, Senator Abiodun Olujimi, was advised to step it down for further consultations with lawmakers who have reservations about the bill. Senator Olujimi had tabled the bill for second reading in the upper chamber during the plenary session, stating that the bill seeks to eliminate discrimination against women and physically challenged members of the society. According to her, the bill will help eliminate gender stereotypes and harmful practices against widows, as well as encourage women to reach their full potentials. But two of her colleagues, Senators Yusuf and Aliyu Wamako, argued that the bill talks about equality between men and women, which is against Islam and Christianity. Still to come on the news, House of Representatives probes non-functional primary healthcare centers nationwide. We'll bring you details of these and more in the second segment. If you're just joining us, we'll welcome you back. This is the major news broadcast for the day on Ogtv. The Federal Executive Council chambers of the State House has been formally reopened for presidential activities. The hallowed chambers was shut down since April this year to enable a comprehensive rehabilitation exercise under the supervision of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa.
The honor and singular privilege to present to President in Council a brand new and world-class audiovisual conferencing center for the use of this Federal Executive Council and generations yet to come, and for the benefit of our country to enhance your quest in delivering on good governance. There is nowhere in the world you go that you can find a better facility than what we have here. This system, Your Excellency, is an improved version of what we initially set out to do. Because right now, we are linked to the tea room and we are also linked to the press gallery, which presupposes that with this new system, Mr. President, from here you can address the press in the press gallery and interact with them without necessarily going to the press gallery. And you can also take your virtual meetings through this particular system. And I wish to sincerely thank you, Mr. President, for approving the project and for the inconveniences too that you have had to suffer using the facility of the First Lady's conference room during the implementation of this project.
So, get out your agenda, members. And item number 1.
This will be the first meeting of the Federal Executive Council to be held in the chamber in the last 7 months. President Muhammadu Buhari presided over the meeting, conducted virtually online with the COVID-19 safety advisory. Amongst those physically present were Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, Chief of Staff to the President, National Security Advisor, Head of Service of the Federation, and several ministers. Other members of the council participated in the weekly meeting online from their offices across the nation's capital, Abuja. It was reported that various memoranda from ministries, departments, and agencies of government were considered for approvals as part of sustained efforts of taking Nigeria to the next level of socio-economic development. Meanwhile, the Federal Executive Council has approved the review and upward of salaries of police personnel by 20%. The Minister of Police Affairs, Megari Dingyadi, said this after the Federal Executive Council meeting. According to the minister, the review exercise is expected to take effect from January 2022. Dingyadi further stated that the review is in response to the demands made by NSAS protesters in 2020 involving primarily improved welfare for police officers. He said the take-home pay will be enhanced through the duty toll allowance to 6% of their new take-home pay and an approval of outstanding uninsured benefits for the period of 2013 to 2020. The Federal Executive Council also approved the release of 13.1 billion naira for payment of outstanding death benefits of 5,472 personnel for the uninsured period of 2013 to August 2021. House of Representatives has mandated its Committee on Healthcare Services to investigate the non-functionality of the primary healthcare centers in the country and report back within 4 weeks for further legislative action. The resolution was based on a motion unanimously adopted at the plenary. A member of the House, Sergius Ogu, who moved the motion, had noted that pursuant to Section 3(b)(v) of the National Primary Care Development Agency Act, the Primary Healthcare Development Agency was established to, among other things, stimulate the technical development of primary healthcare centers on an equitable basis in all local government areas of the country. The lawmaker also noted that the federal government flagged off a primary healthcare center rehabilitation program in 2017 to refurbish PHCs and establish at least one functional center in each senatorial district of the country. He said the House is concerned that despite the revitalization program, only less than 20% of the 30,000 primary healthcare centers in the country are in good working condition, while others are either completely grounded or ineffective in the delivery of primary health care services. Towards achieving mass vaccination of the population against COVID-19 and curtail the spread of the virus, Ogun State Primary Healthcare Development Board has taken COVID-19 vaccines to Obada Market in Ijebu-Igbo. Matthew Showme reports that traders used the opportunity to get their first or second doses of the vaccine.
The need to safeguard public health and to protect the population against the scourge of COVID-19 were the reasons why the current administration in Ogun State was employing different strategies to increase access to vaccines.
As you know, the Ogun State Primary Healthcare Development Board launched the mass vaccination exercise on the 1st of November, and the aim is to immunize 2 million people before the end of the year. We have sites which we call the mass vaccination sites, which is area where crowd congregate, like markets, motor parks, and what we deploy is either a comedian, a musician, or a well-known actor or actress in that local government to try and create an awareness.
As the world grapples with the more transmissible variants of the pandemic, the need to take the vaccine to the doorsteps of the people has become more expedient. This was why the Primary Healthcare Development Board of Ogun State was in Obada Market in Ijebu-Igbo.
So we are here for mass vaccination campaign. So we've been here around since the morning, and we have been moving around the community, the market, just to sensitize them. And we've just had our actress and actors that has just created some form of role play.
Some Nollywood stars were involved in getting the message across to the people, while Iyaloja Akile Ijebu, Alaja Sariat Adeleye, was also on the ground to mobilize the traders for the vaccine. She appreciated the state government for making the vaccine available to the people. The traders then turned out en masse to get their first or second dose, while they also appreciated the state government for this. Matthew Showme, Ogtv News.
Members of the Tailoring Association have been charged to employ the improved technological environment to further give the profession a facelift. Special Advisor to the Ogun State Governor on Technical Education and Vocational Training, Professor Joseph Odemewa, stated this while declaring open a two-day seminar organized under the auspices of the Coalition of the Ogun State Technical Artisan Craftsmen in collaboration with the state government to improve and upgrade artisans in the state. Adwola Ayeola was at the conference hall of the Ministry of Education, Okemoso Abeokuta, venue of the event. Her report is presented from our studios.
Developing country, the key to economic development is skill acquisition. As the world is evolving to a meaningful life, every human being needs one skill or the other. The Ogun State government, in order to improve skill acquisition in Ogun State and enlighten artisans, organized a skill offering and entrepreneurship seminar to train artisans on how to develop and upgrade their skills.
But when your skill is upgraded, then you are relevant. You can make money from what you have learned, and so there will be a problem of unemployment. Yes, we are starting with the fashion designers. We also go to other trades like the hairdressers, the mechanics, the plumbers. Those artisans within the construction business, hospitality business, and all sectors.
To reduce the high rate of unemployment in the state, the Ogun State government is also doing the needful to equip them after the upgrading.
And we are collaborating with philanthropists, we are collaborating with industries, so that we'll be able to help these people to get startup packs. And again, we are also liaising with the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. With this, there are business clinics all around, so I'll be able to know how to access funds for their various businesses.
The training program would expose participants to latest technological innovations.
This program is specifically a government program they have been looking forward to upgrade the artisans in their professional areas of trade. So what you are witnessing today is just what the government have been looking forward to happen.
They are teaching us more about our business, how to upgrade it. With this lecture, after this lecture, we are going to do it for 2 days. After that, after 2 days, we will be packaging our business, how to sew our clothes, how to entertain our customer, how to make it attractive more than before. We are going to the next level.
To ensure customer satisfaction, the training would also teach the artisan on how to rebrand their products.
The current administration in Ogun State says it is unrelenting in its efforts at making the state economy the fastest growing in Nigeria, with not less than 25% rate in the state's goods manufacturing practices, GMP. This statement was made by the State Commissioner for Finance and the Chief Economic Advisor to the State Governor, Mr. Abeokuta, at the cocktail dinner organized by the State Internal Revenue Service for corporate tax agents across the state. Margaret Okolola was part of the event.
A meet and greet session it was, out of the usual work setting, as the State Internal Revenue Service hosts corporate tax agents across Ogun State to interact and strengthen quality customer-oriented service for revenue generation in the state. The Commissioner for Finance and Chief Economic Advisor to the State Governor, Mr. Abeokuta, called for active participation of stakeholders in the creation of an enabling environment for public-private partnership to thrive in the state.
The resources are very, very scarce and they are extremely competitive. And so it behoves on us to ensure that we make it easy, or we put in place all necessary mechanisms to attract, to encourage, to incentivize private sector people to come and do business with us in Ogun State. And the only way to do that is to create an enabling environment.
The chairman, Ogun State Internal Revenue Service, Olugbenga Olaleye, in the same vein, reiterated the board's commitment to applying tax laws with integrity and fairness to all.
The vision is to make sure that we collect appropriate taxes. We don't want to undertax, we don't want to overtax. And we want to collect these taxes from all residents of this state, all taxable residents.
The special advisor to Ogun State Governor on Revenue, Mr. Jide Sanwo, appreciated the representatives for their support. Dignitaries and representatives from various corporate bodies lauded the gathering.
We are happy that we know what the money being generated are being used for, and we hope that this relationship that has started now will be a continuous one, that will actually foster better understanding between the taxpayer and the tax authority.
It's a win-win thing, both for organizations that they are paying tax to the state and to the state government itself. And from this initiative, I see the revenue base of the state government growing bigger and bigger than what they are doing currently.
Awards were also presented to corporate bodies for their timely payment of tax. Margaret Okolola, Ogtv News.
The fourth convocation ceremony of the Gateway ICT Polytechnic Shapade Remo Ogun State holds on Thursday, 16th December 2021 from 10 in the morning. A statement from the rector, Dr. Isaiah Kolawole Oyinka, has it that the ceremony will hold at Prince Dapo Abiodun Leadership Development Center, Gateway ICT Polytechnic Shapade. The statement adds that the state governor, who is also a visitor to the Polytechnic, will commission some projects at 10 in the morning inside the institution. The attention of the Ogun State Judiciary has been drawn to an online news publication on December 14, 2021 on the platform of a national newspaper with the headline, Ogun summons principal over suspension of students smoking shisha in school uniform. In the report, it was claimed that one of the students allegedly involved in the shisha smoking spree was said to be a relative of a judge in the Ogun State Judiciary. A release signed by the Special Assistant to the Honorable Chief Judge of the State, Sir Olusegun Lanre-Yoda, states that while not contesting the main news, the reference to a judge in the Ogun State Judiciary was wrong, misleading, and tantamount to dragging the repute of the State Judiciary in the mud. It adds that investigation into the matter contrarily revealed that there is no such judge in the state judiciary whose relative or ward was involved in the reported incident. Consequently, the Ogun State Judiciary demands an immediate retraction of the untrue portion of the news story, with apologies which should be accorded the same wide publicity the false reference to the state judiciary in the story was given, adding that failure to do so will attract necessary action against the publisher and the author of the story. The people of Ogun East Senatorial District have pledged their support for the presidential admission of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu during the 2023 general elections. This assurance was given at the official launch of the Southwest Agenda for Asiwaju, tagged Swagger, in Ogun East Senatorial District. Benga Adekoya reports that the event had in attendance some notable politicians in the southwest of Nigeria.
The people of Ogun East Senatorial District, comprising 9 local government areas, converged on the auditorium of Rontex Event Center, Imowo, Ibadan Road in Ijebu-Ode to witness the official launching of Southwest Agenda for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, tagged Swagger 23. In his welcome address, the chairman, Ogun State Planning Committee, Swagger 23, Agba King Ganiyu Odufuwa, enjoined the entire people of the Southwest Nigeria to come together as one big family to achieve the dream.
Swagger, as we all know, is now a household across the length of the earth. If you are not in Swagger today, I don't know where you are, because this is a God-ordained project and a child of necessity. I therefore you all to the same path until our candidate, Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu, emerge as President of Federal Republic of Nigeria in 2023.
There were goodwill messages from some party chieftains who graced the occasion.
Asiwaju is coming out to run for the presidential election under APC. I am saying this to you, and there now, Asiwaju is coming
well, it's highly accepted. Asiwaju is everybody's father, and everyone loves Asiwaju. So we want to project Asiwaju to be the president of this country. That's why we're all there.
The National Vice Chairman, Swagger 23, Adesoji Akombi, in his remarks said, unity is what the nation needs, and that is what Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu stands for. The official inauguration of Ogun East Senatorial District, Swagger 23, was concluded at the ceremony.
Over now to Okwemi Adeomi for some business news.
Welcome to the business segment of the news. The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, said that the annual inflation rate dropped for the 7th consecutive month to 15.4% in November from 15.99% in October. This represents a 2.77 percentage point decline since March, when the inflation rate peaked at 18.17%. The NBS disclosed this in its Consumer Price Index report for November 2021. The report stated Consumer Price Index, which measures inflation, increased by 15.40% year-on-year in November 2021. This is 0.51 percentage points higher than the rate recorded in November 2020, 14.89%. Increases were recorded in all divisions that yielded the headline index. The Debt Management Office disclosed that Nigerians' public debt was 38.005 trillion naira as of the end of the third quarter of 2021. And a press statement titled DMO publishes total public debt for quarter 3 2021. The published on the DMO's website, the debt agency said the total debt figure comprised total external and domestic debt of the federal government, the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The total debt stock rose by 2.540 trillion naira in 3 months from June 30 to September 30, 2021. The statement further indicated that the increase of 2.540 trillion naira when compared to the corresponding figure of 35.465 trillion naira at the end of quarter 2 2021 was largely accounted for by $4 billion Eurobonds issued by the government in September 2021. Crude oil production in Nigeria increased by about 2.55 million barrels in the month of November 2021, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries announced. According to OPEC, the country's crude oil production rose by 85,000 barrels to 1,420,000 barrels daily in November, when compared to the 1,335,000 barrels that was produced daily in the preceding month of October. Figures obtained in Abuja from the December 2021 monthly oil market report of the 13-member nation organization showed that Nigeria's crude oil production in November was higher than what the country recorded in September and October. The House of Representatives approved external borrowings totaling over $5.8 billion and a grant of $10 billion for the federal government as part of the proposed 2018 to 2020 external borrowings. The approval followed the adoption of the report of the House Committee on Aid, Loan and Debt Management, which recommended the approval of the loans and grants. The Reps Committee on Supply considered the report while the House adopted it. The House also asked that the terms and conditions of the loans from the funding agency be forwarded to the National Assembly before the execution of the same for approval and proper documentation. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has said the bank has disbursed 370 billion naira out of the 400 billion naira provided under its targeted credit facility. Emefiele said this during the 2021 Annual Bankers Committee retreat in Lagos with the theme, Building Resilience for Economic Growth. He said to contain the downturn and drive the recovery of Nigeria's economy, the monetary and fiscal authorities deploy a series of policy measures that has aided the rebound in Nigeria's growth beginning in the fourth quarter of 2020. According to him, 53 manufacturing, 21 agriculture-related and 13 service projects have been funded from the 1 trillion naira facilities introduced for local manufacturing and production in critical sectors. Emefiele noted that a 200 billion naira healthcare intervention fund was created for pharmaceutical companies and healthcare practitioners to expand and strengthen the capacity of the country's healthcare institution. He said, given its mandate to promote a sound monetary and financial system and working with the fiscal authorities, the CBN took unprecedented measures to contain the effect of the pandemic on the economy and spurred increased productivity in key sectors. And that ends the business segment of the news. It's back to Wally.